Tuesday, March 1, 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, happy new month and thanks for joining us for today's edition of Prime Flash on My Media Prime Television with me, Audrey Zatsa. And a few hours after his nomination as the new Indomitable Lions coach, Rigobert Song Bahanang has danced and displayed his joy in a video posted on social media. Former star player Rigobert was appointed on Monday, February 28, according to a communique signed by Sports Minister Narcisse Moele Kombi on the high instructions of the head of state. The decision to entrust the reign of the technical supervision of the Indomitable Lions on very high instructions of President Paul Biya to the two-time African champion fell while the former player or defender aged 46 years was with his family. Rigobert Song thus replaces Antonio Conceição. And amongst him, other Cameroonian nominees, Raymond Kwala Congo is the new manager of the Indomitable Lions. He replaces Salomon Olembe. Before his nomination, Kala was the manager of the under-23 national team, where his boss was Song Bahanang. He will work closely with Song, with whom he formed a great line of defense on the field in the early hours or in the early 2000s. Kala Congo is 46 years old and has previously played for the Yaoundé Sports Canon and the Douala Sports Union. And this is Suleimanu Hamidou, the new goalkeeper coach of the Indomitable Lions. He played for Coton Sport of Garoua between 1999 and 2000 before leaving for Turkey, where he spent the rest of his professional career. He played for Cameroon between 2000 and 2010, making 25 appearances and winning one AFCON in 2000 and was a finalist in AFCON 2008 in Ghana. He is 48 years old. On to something else, Cameroon has signed a memorandum of understanding with Ostino and Bestway Finance Ltd for the construction of over 500 kilometers of railway in the framework of the PelamA iron ore development project. The contract binding the three parties was signed on Friday 25 in the presence of Cameroon's Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Ngalema Sena Bibei. This country equally signed the concession conceding the mineral terminal of the deep sea port of Kribi to the two parties. The two agreements mean that Ostino and Bestway Finance Ltd will fund and construct a railway to transport the iron ore extracted from Balam in Cameroon and Nabeba in Congo to the deep sea port of Kribi and the mineral terminal of that port. In return, they will operate the terminal for a yet to be disclosed time before handing the infrastructure to the state of Cameroon, since the terminal will be funded following a public-private partnership. Some 5 detainees held hostage in Sombo, Ezeka have been freed Monday, February 28 by the National Gendarmerie. According to the Gendarmerie, the hostages, amongst which 3 women and 2 men escaping the conflict in the northwest and southwest region, were kidnapped in Ezeka by unknown individuals on Thursday, February 24. On Friday, security forces launched an operation to rescue the hostages in the Ndupe forest where they were being held. In a statement, the Gendarmerie said the operation made it possible to release the hostages that same day at about 7 p.m. The kidnappers had fled before the arrival of the gendarmes. Following a confession and apology which went viral on social media from a primary school teacher after perpetrating acts of violence and torture on his pupil in the nation's economic capital last week, the Yaoundé-based priest and pedagogue has dwelt on the issue. Colette Lom tells us more.
Going by Oxford's Learner's Dictionary, teacher is a person whose job is teaching, especially in a school. And teaching is the art and science of facilitating students' construction of meaning and understanding. Unfortunately, in contemporary society, most teachers have lost track of the core of this noble profession, teaching. They either unteach pupils and students or perpetrate acts of violence in all its forms. A glaring example is the case in the Littoral region, where a teacher beats up his student with a gas pipe and machete and smashing his finger with a hammer and ended up feeding him with large quantity of pepper. The $1 million question is, what is the cause of such an act of violence instilled on a kid in the school milieu? Are the students or pupils accountable for this phenomenon, or teachers on the other hand, or parents themselves? How should a good child behave?
A good child is supposed to respect, to obey. It's nasty.
Going by a pedagogue and parents as well, acts of violence in schools perpetrated on children should not be pardoned.
The teacher knew that it was not acceptable and he did it. This particular one borders around criminality. We saw another video where a teacher was hitting the child with hammer on the hand. They had undressed the child and they were beating the child with a cutlass. All of this is not acceptable. It's devilish. Those teachers are not normal, because I have been a teacher for more than 30 years. I have never heard that kind of punishment. Many ways of punishing a child, not to the point of beating, to that extent, not to the point of giving pepper. The law should take that seriously and give the teacher the punishment they merit, so that others who are doing it or have intention of doing it will learn.
In a confession video that went viral on social media, the teacher who committed the act confessed of having been under a spiritual influence.
The attack of the teacher against child is blaming the spiritual attack. We are believers. We don't deny that they are spiritual attacks. We have to be very careful. Sometimes we use those expressions to escape from our responsibility. It is clear that we shouldn't use violence in school. If he's under spiritual attack, he has to stop teaching and make sure that it's followed up by a priest or a man of God. So don't use the name of God to justify violence.
Everyone, before indulging in any action, should first of all examine their consciences and do just the right.
Internationally acclaimed peace crusader and lawyer Tumfor barrister Nico Hale has celebrated over 160 awards. The celebration took place over the weekend here in the economic capital. Lasha Kingsley was present. His report.
Hundreds of Cameroonians turned out at the Sawa Hotel in Douala Friday, February 25, 2022 to celebrate with Tumfor barrister Nico Hale God's grace for impacting society. During the celebration, Tumfor was blessed by the Archbishop of the Metropolitan Archdiocese of Douala, His Grace Samuel Kleda. The celebration was attended by a cream of dignitaries stemming from diplomatic missions, administrative, religious, and traditional authorities. Speaking shortly after the first part of the ceremony, Tumfor barrister Nico Hale said he was not celebrating 160 awards, but God's grace.
We are not celebrating achievement. We are not celebrating the more than 160 accolades, medals, awards, or whatever. We are celebrating the giver. I don't celebrate the gift, I celebrate the giver. Without God, I am nothing. Without God, you are nothing. And that's why I don't lay emphasis on the gifts. I lay emphasis on the giver. And that's why I thank God for His grace, His mercy, His love, His strength, His wisdom. All of that package has propelled me into doing what all of you admire, humanity admires, for the entire nation and beyond. And so I'm celebrating God's grace today. And let us celebrate Him and love each other. Because if God loves us, we should in turn love each other.
Speakers upon speakers mounted the stage, and the message was the same. how Ntumfo's works have contributed to the betterment of the society.
He likes speaking to the minds of people. He likes speaking to the minds of people. He's very frank, he's very honest, he's sincere, virtues which is important. Build a personality.
We have Nico in his lifetime who has left great amount of footprints for youngsters to follow. So I wish you all the very best, long life, many more accomplishments, be an apostle of peace you are, and all the very best, and God bless.
Change are in two ways. You can change by moving backward, and you can change by moving forward. But Tumfo Nico Hale has changed moving forward.
Nsungkikang barrister Nico Hale was elevated to an institution.
I heard one of the speakers in this rostrum talk of Nico Hale becoming an institution. An institution. I want to concord and say, I saw Nicola Hale moving from a human resource to human capital. Today he is an institution.
The celebration culminated with the launch of a mega magazine titled Journey Through Nsungkikang Barrister Nico Hale Award Gallery.
Preparations for the 37th edition of the International Women's Day is ongoing. Women in Melong, Mungo Division, Littoral region of the country have been called upon to work in synergy in order to secure a better future. The call was made over the weekend during a launching ceremony prior to the D-Day. Fon Quinta tells us more.
The Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Therese Abena Ondwa, has called on all, notably women, to work hand in gloves in a bid to secure a better future, void of all forms of discrimination. She made the call as she launched the 37th edition of the International Women's Day in Melong, Mungo Division of the Littoral region, Friday, February 25, 2022.
Each member of the society, regardless of his sex, should be concerned about the dramatic changes we are seeing in our environment. And we should all work hand in hand, men and women, so that we can prepare a better future for future generations. Yes, you are all together, no discrimination. Let's plan for the future, our future and the future of our children. Together, faced with dramatic changes, women should take part in everything. Men cannot do it alone, women cannot do it just hand in hand.
Professor Marie-Therese Abena, during the launching ceremony, encouraged men to stand as key actors for the promotion of women activities, just as the theme equality between women and men today for a sustainable tomorrow. Just as you know it, women have a specific role to play in the world. Women are not supposed to stay at home, but the woman has to contribute towards development. That's why we are here today, to support women and give them space in all aspects of development. Prizes and agricultural inputs were handed to associations to help boost productivity, especially in the agricultural sector. Closing the ceremony at the Melong Ceremonial Ground, Minister Marie-Therese Abena visited exhibition stands where food items and homemade products like dresses, jewelry and detergents produced by women were put on display.
Cameroon's Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, has inaugurated a new ST scan machine in Bamenda. The new powerful machine was inaugurated over the weekend at the Bamenda Regional Hospital in the presence of the Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique. Details in the following report. The Bamenda Regional Hospital played host to Cameroon's Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, for the inauguration of a 32-slide CT scan offered by the Cameroonian government to the establishment. During the ceremony, which took place at the esplanade of the hospital, the director, Dr. Denis Nsame, in presenting the imaging center, highlighted the great impact that the new CT scan will have on the quality of healthcare services provided to the population. Minister Manauda Malachi, in his remark, saluted efforts put in place by the health family in the Northwest region through its regional delegate, Dr. Chen So, to continuously provide quality health care to the population despite the dual crisis plaguing the region. He further saluted efforts made by the hospital administration in the proper functioning of the hospital and again recognized the efforts put by medics in the era of the COVID-19 pandemic, saying that they deserve bonuses to encourage them in the work they do. Minister Manauda Malachi equally bore a special message to the population, calling on all to be messengers of peace in their different communities. The inauguration ceremony saw the presence of the governor of the Northwest region and his état-major. Dignitaries such as the public independent conciliator, president of the regional assembly, and administrators of the regional hospital were equally part of the very important personalities present. And out of the country, Bishop Talbot Swan, a prominent U.S. activist alongside other activists, have accused Ukrainian authorities of preventing the escape of black people stuck in the conflict-hit country. This comes after unverified videos showing crowds of black people physically blocked from boarding trains and held at gunpoint by guards in Ukraine were shared on social media. The Ukraine State Border Guard Service reportedly announced recently that men aged between 18 to 60 were prohibited from leaving the country. This came after Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky declared martial law across the country as Russia invaded Ukraine. The regulation, he said, will remain in effect for the period of the legal regime of martial law. Under martial law, military officials are in charge of applying law and not civilian leaders or police. It is usually invoked in times of war. And that was it for today's edition of Prime Flash, produced by Junior PelamA. Thanks for watching, faithful viewers. You have more news stories on 3:30 p.m. Prime Info with Gladys Bomotongina and 6:30 p.m. Prime News with Fon Quinta. Coming up next is In the House with Eileen Sama and her ladies.